folks, Guns Gear on target training out here in Oregon. Before we get started, if you enjoy our content, please like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment. Comments really help us understand what resonates with you, how we can do a better job bringing you content, and also how I can learn from you, because that's super important to me. Today, we're going to be talking about a laser light combination from Crimson Trace. Laser light combinations, particularly to weapon, attached to the weapon, have a lot of benefits. Now, the first thing, though, I want to say is that if I have to identify a target or a threat with a weapons mounted light, I have to point the weapon in that direction. So I need to be hyper aware of where my finger is once I've engaged the light. In this case, I've engaged the light. But if I'm pointing it over there, I am in fact pointing it towards something I may not wish to actually shoot. So this is why identifying the target is really important. And that's one of the cons of a weapons mounted light system. Doesn't mean they're not good. I'm just bringing that out because it's important to think about. The advantage of a weapons mounted light and light laser combination like this one from Crimson Trace is the fact that if I need to use this weapon as a self-defense tool, particularly like this is really set up sort of as a house gun, but if I needed to use this pistol for self-defense, I'd be able to identify my target, right? And often things go wrong at night, so I'd be able to look potentially, if I had to identify that target, to see them. And here's where lasers really, really shine. A laser, assuming it's properly sighted in, all I have to do is point the laser, and even if I don't have, I have a target down there and I'm pointing right to the center of a V target at the other end of this room here, even if I don't have a complete firing grip, even if I don't have my sights aligned, the laser is going to tell me where the shot is going to impact. That has some real advantages, particularly in a high stress situation. So what I like about this particular setup is it's very small, it's compact. You can see here the light is, it's 400 looms, which is quite powerful. It's a simple on-off, right? I simply press on, off, on, off. So there's not a lot of work to do, right? It's just I can activate it with my dominant or non-dominant hand. And with the laser, of course, I now have some advantages because the sight alignment issues that I would normally have to do if I were not using some sort of red dot optic, but the sight alignment issues go out the window. I don't have to think about that. Should I still look at my sights? And if I could, I would. But in the event I couldn't, for whatever reason, maybe I'm in a retention position, maybe I don't want to fully expose my body, right? So perhaps I could, if I had some hard cover here and I could get just my, eyes out enough to see where the beam, the laser beam itself, where that dot is projecting, I'm much more likely to have a more accurate shot from a difficult position. The other story that I've heard from a friend of mine who was a DevGru operator said that there were situations on certain missions where they'd be in a position and this would be an operating base somewhere, and if people were coming at them, they would light them up with lasers that were active lasers that the people, the bad guys, could essentially see. Oh crap, I've got 4 dots dancing across my chest or my face. And his experience was often they never had to fire a shot because that dot there indicated, that laser dot that was emitted onto the threat told the threat, do you really want to keep going and get shot? So there's some advantage psychologically as well to that. Remember, in a self-defense situation, we can only go to guns when we have identified weapon, Like there's a weapon that can do us harm, capability, that person who has the weapon has the capability and the intent to do us harm. If I can't identify those, then I probably don't have a great case for using lethal force if I can't articulate those things. And I guarantee you, if you use lethal force, you will have to be able to defend those decisions. So weapon capability and intent are critical elements. So what's really cool, and we're going to do some testing on this, is when I add this laser light combination to a weapon with a red dot on it, I'm entirely target focused. I'm not front sight focused, right? I'm simply sight focused. Like whatever that target is out there, I'm simply seeing the target and I'm putting the dot, whether it's in the reticle itself of the red dot or whether it's emitting a laser like we see here. That to me is really, really important. So let's take a look at the target right behind me here. And you can see the dot. Here it is. I'm moving it around a little bit across here. So that dot makes it pretty easy for me to place the shot wherever I want it. Of course, the other thing that's really nice about lasers, or even red dots, but in particular lasers, is when you're practicing, you're doing dry practice, is it will tell you a lot about how smooth your trigger press is. So I'm going to go ahead and, right, we've got a completely cold gun here, no ammo in it, no magazines. I'm going to go ahead and press a few shots. So I'm going to aim at the bridge of the nose here. And you can see I'm getting a little bit of movement through that press through the wall, and when I finally break the wall and get into engaging the sear. But that kind of trigger practice with a laser is going to tell you an awful lot about how good your trigger press is and whether or not you've really mastered that as, you know, driving that smooth press all the way straight back along the axis of the bore. So that's another advantage from a training standpoint, especially dry firing, that can make you better when you actually get to the range and start using live ammo. So this model is the CMR-207G. This is the FDE model. This will attach to any sort of pick rail that you have out there. In this case, this is an M&P 2.0. This is a 5-inch version, but I could attach this to a shotgun. I could attach to any pick rail that I had. And that's a really nice setup. And the size of this particular laser light combination is really quite small. It's relatively narrow, and it doesn't protrude as long as far. It uses one 123A battery at full power, right? If I just left it on, it has an auto shut off after 5 minutes, which is a nice feature. But if for some reason I had to have the light on, it has a maximum battery life of 50 minutes. So that to me, you know, those are good things to know. Typically, in a setup like this, I'm not activating the light and the laser. Like it's in a safe next to my bed or close by, you know, where I can access the loaded weapon and immediately have the light and the laser right there, and I can simply turn that on whenever I want, right, by pressing the buttons to activate it on the side. So I also have the ability to have, in this case, I've set it with a laser only. You can see it here. When I press the 2 buttons on the back for 3 seconds, now I'm back to a laser light combination. And then if I hold it for another 3 seconds, now I have the light on only, and now back to the laser light combination. So there's a fair amount of flexibility with this Crimson Trace setup. I personally prefer green over red, whether that's in you know, an optic, right? So if I have a choice, I'd much rather have a green dot in that window or a green circle dot in the Holosons or something like that. That's much, much better. For me, green is also faster for the eyes to pick up. So I'm always going to choose green if I can. This is a really nice setup. So if you don't have a laser light combination and you're thinking about how that might potentially benefit you from a self-defense standpoint, particularly if you have a dedicated house gun or something of the sort, getting a laser light combination on your pistol can really have some tactical advantages over just having a gun with my light separate. So you know, whatever works for you guys. But for me, you know, I'm going to take advantages wherever I can get them. And the laser light combination with this Crimson Trace particular version works really well. So if you're thinking about it, you should check it out. I'd love to hear your comments on what your setup is, what you like for lights, laser lights, red dots, anything like that. Again, this does not, these tools do not make me a better marksman. I have to still go out there and practice and develop my skills and my proficiencies and train constantly to maintain that level of proficiency. But once I've done that and I have some fundamental level of skills where I can consistently go out and say, yes, I know how to manage my sights, my triggers, the recoil, my whole stance, my structure, my grip, I know how to do all of that, then adding things like a laser light combination, a red dot, things like that can help you be a little bit better, maybe a little bit faster, and a little more accurate. So it's something to think about. Well, folks, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks so much for your support. Finally, and as always, stay safe.